I'm Natalie Simonero, your host for the wellness portion of Nantucket Pulse programming, made possible by Nantucket Cottage Hospital Community Health Initiative. For those of you who are new to us this week, Nantucket Pulse Wellness Program highlights essential resources to help us balance our new way of living, taking care of ourselves, each other, and connecting to those who can help us during this time. This week, joining us is Tammy Balenger, a licensed and nationally board certified acupuncturist, Chinese herbal consultant, and occupational therapist with over 26 years of experience working in both Western and Eastern medicine. As the owner of Island Acupuncture and Associates, she sees clients for all sorts of pain, muscular, digestive, hormonal, neurological, and emotional needs. I have witnessed many, including myself, who have benefited from acupuncture. Tammy also works as the occupational therapist at our island home and has also worked in hospitals, rehabilitation facilities, outpatient clinics, schools, and in private home care. This gives her an understanding of the body at all ages and stages of illness and injury. While she is anxious to get back into her clinic and treat her patients, Tammy has been using this downtime to focus on her family, self-care, and advancing her studies with continuing education. Today, Tammy's going to introduce us to acupuncture, how it works, and what it can be used to treat. She's going to share some basic protocols for self-treating at home using acupressure techniques on points for immunity and stress reduction to help folks during these challenging times. I am very pleased to present Tammy Balenger of Island Acupuncture and Associates.
Hi Nantucket, welcome to Island Acupuncture. My name is Tammy Balenger. I am a Massachusetts licensed and nationally board certified acupuncturist as well as occupational therapist practicing here on Nantucket for the last 14 or so years. Thank you so much to the NCTV folks for having me today to talk a little bit about acupuncture, acupressure, and things that you can do at home to help yourself during these tough times dealing with the COVID-19 illness. And thank you so much for the Nantucket Pulse Wellness folks as well for really putting together this wellness series and showing some of the amazing practitioners that we have here on the island of Nantucket. So what is acupuncture? Typically when I ask people what they know about acupuncture, they tell me that they know that I use needles, and that's usually enough to scare them off. But in reality, the needles are so fine that, and usually about the thickness of a hair, so they're really not uncomfortable at all. I'll show you what one looks like. My needles come with two parts. The first part is the plastic tube, and the tube is there solely because the needle is so thin, it helps to guide the needle in straighter so that it's a less painful insertion. The needle itself is about the thickness of a hair, really thin and pliable. Okay? So usually when the needles go in, often what people tell me that they feel is just the tapping on the tube. Right? Once the needle is in, it should not be painful, and if it is, I always tell people I want to know about it so that we can make it more comfortable or remove it or whatever. When the needle is in, typically what people feel is a warming sensation, a radiating sensation, something they can't really describe. As long as it's not uncomfortable, these can stay in for half an hour or so and we let people relax on the table. Right? But what are they doing? The needles, we believe, are meant to move what we call an energy that we say is qi within the meridians or the channels within the body. This is a model of our acupuncture meridians. The meridians in the body run head to toe, foot to hand to head, and it creates one continuous circuitry or motion of energy through the body. If that energy gets blocked for whatever reason, poor diet, lack of exercise, emotional trauma, physical stress, any combination or culmination of things through our lifetime can sort of clog up the system. And when we get that stagnation, that can lead to whatever illness or injury or whatnot that people might be having, and often why they come to see me. Right now, we are in some pretty tough times. COVID-19 has a lot of people very anxious, very stressed out, people are not sleeping, people have insomnia, anxiety, a lot of just digestive issues oftentimes associated with stress as well. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. Obviously, you're not able to come to the clinic and see me, unfortunately. Can't wait till we get back to that. But some things that you can do at home. Where we can't use acupuncture at home, we can still use acupressure. So I'm going to show you guys some acupressure points today, show you how to find those points and where they're located and what they can do, give you a couple of sort of treatment series so that you can work on those at home. And then I'm always here and available for questions. So I've asked my daughter Caitlin to come in and be our model. She's behind the scenes at the moment as she's the technologically inclined one, so hopefully this video will continue to go well. Welcome, Caitlin.
Hello.
Okay, so how do we do acupressure? First thing you need to know is how to find the point. Secondly, once you find the point, you're going to push with a deep, firm pressure, typically with either just straight, deep and firm, or you can add some little bit of circular motion to it, okay? Anywhere from about 30 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on how strong your hands are. You can always go back and revisit those points if you need to later, so do what's comfortable for you. You might also try using the end of a pencil, or some people have like little knobby tools for acupressure. If you have something like that at home, those can be good options as well. You can do the points on both sides of the body. They are mirror images of each other. So if we find a point on the wrist, it's going to be on the same side on the opposite hand, okay? So you can do both points. And I'm going to give you, we're going to sort of go head to toe. I'll show you probably a dozen or so different acupressure points that can be used. And then I'll tell you a little bit about which points can be used for different types of things, okay? So first point that we're going to use on Caitlin is called GV20. And it is at the very center of the top of the head. So if you very lightly sort of just use your finger and sort of run across the top of your head, you should be able to feel a little bit of a depression, okay? When you find that point, again, as mentioned, just a deep, firm pressure. You can use your thumb, okay? Just some little circular motion, okay? 30 seconds to 2 minutes or so. This point is great for sort of waking up the body. We believe it's used to lift the spine, so if you were to have back pain, it can be good, but it's also good for clarity and for helping with depression, okay? Second point, yin tang. Sort of, people call it sometimes the third eye, right between the center of the eyebrows, okay? Some people like to just tap this point instead of doing some acupressure, okay? But easy point to reach by yourself. Next spot is a little bit hard to find, and I'm going to have Caitlin sort of turn around for me. This point is called on me on. So on the back of her head, so obviously this is the skull where it comes down, okay? You come to the very center along the spine and come to the sides. You can really put 3 fingers into 3 different points. So there's a depression. That's a good, okay, so this is our center mark, okay? Lift your head up just a little bit. There's 1 spot, 2 spots, 3 spots, okay? You both can see that, but where your middle finger lies in that depression right at the base of the skull is called on me on. And this spot is great for insomnia. Also really good for headaches, neck tension when we're holding our shoulders in the ears. Okay, so really get in there and work that point. And while you're at it, you can really feel along the base of the skull and all those different points. Those are great for muscular tension and tension headaches, things like that. Okay, I'm going to turn back around. Okay, this next spot is one that everybody really enjoys. Okay, should not be used for people that are pregnant, however. Okay, you're going to take your thumb, your index, and your middle finger. Okay, and you're basically going to hold them like this. Turn it sideways and place it onto the top of the shoulder, okay? Where the index finger lies, in the very top of that muscle, the height of the muscle, is where that gallbladder 21 spot is. And you can sort of move around until you find like a knot. It'll be really tight. Or they can say, ah, yeah, I feel that one, okay? So you get in there, work that spot, gallbladder 21, great for tension, great for getting the shoulders out of the ears, great for moving the energy in the body as well, helping with headaches and neck strain. Okay. Large intestine 4. Typically, everybody knows this point as the headache point, okay? On the hand, between the thumb and the index finger. If you put the thumb and the index finger together, it's right at the center of the high point of the muscle. So if you're doing it on yourself, you can get in and do it this way. If you have a loved one or you're doing it for somebody, get in there, work that high point of that muscle. And again, remember, you can do both sides on all of these. This is a great spot, as I mentioned, for headaches. It's also good for stress. It's actually a great spot for immune building, okay? Keeping the body healthy, and pretty much any kind of pain. So great spot, very commonly used in Chinese medicine. So before we go on to the next spots, I need to talk a little bit about point location and how to find that in an individual. Obviously, I'm not the same size as Caitlin, who's not the same size as you at home. When we are looking for and finding points on our own bodies, we have very individualized measurement systems in Chinese medicine. The width of your individual thumb is 1 sun, C-U-N, it's called a sun. So this is Caitlin's sun, this is my sun distance. 4 of your fingers together, the width of them from one side to the other is 3 sun. Okay? But when I'm referring to the points, I'm going to try to refer to them as 4 finger breadths or a thumb breadth, or, using that as a measurement tool. Okay? As I mentioned, the next point we're going to look for is a point that's used for building immunity, keeping what we call our wei qi, or our outer system, strong, so that we can ward off any illness that might be coming our way. To find this location, we find the bend in the elbow, and then you're going to take your thumb, okay, or Caitlin's thumb, and she's going to go down 1 and 2. So 2 thumb breadths down from the outside edge of the crease of that elbow. And oftentimes you can find a tender spot in there. Oh, there it is. Okay, so that spot often is very tender, but find that, poke around till you find that tender location, and then get in there and do your acupressure. Okay. Next spot, lung 7. So on this same line that we're just using, okay, or actually a little bit more to the middle or inside of the elbow. From the elbow to the wrist is what we call the lung line, okay? So again, we're going to take a thumb and we're going to use 2 of your individual thumb widths to come up from the crease in the elbow, where you get the little folds when your hand bends towards your arm or towards your wrist. You get the little creases. So you're going to do 2 thumb widths up from the wrist crease. And you sort of, if you're finding it, you can sort of just slide your finger down and slide off the bone right into a little depression. And that is lung 7. And this one also is used to build immunity, help to boost the strength of the lungs and ward off illness. Okay, lung 7. Pericardium 6. Okay. Again, 2 thumb widths. Okay, so this is that wrist crease that I was trying to explain a second ago, right where that wrist folds. Okay, so it's 2 of Caitlin's thumb widths down, and it's between the 2 little tendons that run up from the wrist to the elbow. If you bend your wrist, you should be able to see those tendons sort of pop up, or you should be able to feel them a little bit. So you're going to find those 2 tendons, and you're going to come down. You can also, again, sort of fall into a depression and work it, pericardium 6. Okay, this one's great for depression, for mood, for nausea and vomiting. If you're feeling, if you have morning sickness, this is a great spot to use. If stress has you all, like your stomach a mess, great spot, pericardium 6. Okay, heart 7. Underneath the pinky side, again on that wrist crease, on the outer aspect is a little depression. Heart 7. Great for stress, anxiety, insomnia, palpitations, okay? Great for all sorts of mood. Heart 7. As we know, there's a lot of lung stuff that's going on with this virus that's happening. So obviously we want to try to keep the chest as open as possible, okay? We also tend to see that there's a lot of tightness in the chest when people get stressed out, okay? Many times when there's palpitations, people sort of go to their chest or they hold their chest really tight, okay? It's sort of a protective measure. So the next spot, I'm not necessarily going to palpate on Caitlin, but it's right at the very center of your sternum. So she can find it right in between the center of the nipple line. So right there. And oftentimes if you poke around a little bit, if you're having some stress, it will be tender. Find that most tender spot, do your acupressure, okay? This one is good for opening up the chest, both physically and mentally, excuse me, allowing those lungs to just take a deeper breath, okay, which again helps us just to relax a little bit more. Going just down below that, CV12. So all 5 of your fingers, okay, up from, so put your pinky right on your belly button, and right above that spot of your 5 fingers, okay, would be CV12. And this is a great spot for digestion. Digestion in Chinese medicine is really important for helping us to, again, produce what we call that wei qi, that protective barrier against illness. So keeping the digestive system in Chinese medicine really is imperative for warding off disease. So that's a great spot for digestion, okay? Almost done. Spleen 6. I'm gonna find her leg. Ow. Okay, we're going to use our 3 sun or our 4 finger widths, okay, on Caitlin. You're going to find the bone, the medial malleolus, right at the very center, okay? And you're going to slide off the back of that into the depression behind it. And then Caitlin's going to take her 4 finger widths, but starting here, okay? And the spot is just above that spot. So again, if you slide off the ankle into the depression, slide up, and often you can find a tender spot there too. Okay, found it. Okay, this one is great for mood. It's great for digestion, really for just overall, you know, immunity building. It's a spot that's very commonly used for lots of different things, menstrual issues, whatnot. So spleen 6, really good. Okay, stomach 36. Again, the 4 fingers. You're going to find what we call the outer eye of the knee. So obviously we can't see Caitlin's knees at the moment, but you can put it down. So it's that little depression on the outside of the knee. She's going to come down those 4 fingers, okay? And oftentimes if you're coming up on it, you can come up and slide right into the depression. So it's just off of the bone. All right, so here's the bone, the tibia, crest of the tibia, and it's just to the side of that, the outer aspect. So again, you can slide up and fall in or come down that 4 fingers from the eye. Great spot for digestion, for moving the energy or that qi through the channel. Okay, again, very commonly used in Chinese medicine, okay, warding off infection. And the last one I'm going to show you today is liver 3. And this one is on the foot. So this one might be a little tougher for Caitlin to sort of show. We're going to make her do some acrobatics here. Okay. So between the big toe and the second toe, if you come to the very base of the toes and find a depression here, sort of as the toe, the bones of the toe come up, right in from the top, there's a depression there. That one oftentimes we can find a tender spot too. Okay, and this is an excellent spot for stress, irritability, just insomnia, any of those things that, you know, what we say are just stuck or stagnant. If you just feel like you're in a rut, this is a great spot for that. Okay, so that is, like I said, a dozen or so different points that can be used for acupressure. So now that you have the points, thank you, Caitlin, I just want to sort of rehash or capture some point prescriptions, so to speak, that can be used using those at different acupressure points, okay? So if you are having insomnia, stress, or anxiety, great points to use would be GB20, Yin Tong, CV17, gallbladder 21, that liver 3 between the toes, pericardium 6, heart 7, and spleen 6, okay? If you want to just boost your immune system, okay, make yourself a little bit stronger to ward off this or allergy season or whatever else might be coming at you, large intestine 10 on the arm, stomach 36 on the leg, large intestine 4 in the hand, CV12, that digestion, okay? Spleen 6 on the inside of the leg, and lung 7. If you're sort of down in the dumps, we're inside too much, not getting very much vitamin D these days, okay? If you're having that depression, large intestine 4, hand, liver 3 between the toes, stomach 36 on the outside of the leg, CV 17, heart 7, outer aspect under the pinky at the wrist crease, do 27, okay, spleen 6, and yin tong. All right. Also, in the world of acupuncture, another part of the medicine that I find is kind of fun is using the ear. All right. You can use the ear either separately as a whole separate treatment, or you can use it in conjunction with the acupressure points that we just found. Okay. We picture the ear like an upside down infant. So if you picture a baby sort of curled up in fetal position and then upside down, the lobe of the head would represent, the lobe of the ear would represent the head of the baby. The spine of the ear here represents the spine. Where it breaks off becomes sort of the buttock and the legs, and then the internal organs are tucked inside. I have a bigger model of the ear here. And hopefully Caitlin can sort of help us sort of zoom in on a little bit. Okay, so again, lobe of the ear would be that baby's head upside down. As we come in through here, closer to the head, we have the neck. We go up a little farther, we have sort of the mid back, the low back, and where it breaks off here becomes the buttock and the legs through here. Okay, and then the internal organs are tucked inside. So when we're looking at issues like we have going on today, again, with stress and anxiety, immunity, whatnot, there's some specific points that can be very helpful in the ear. There's a lot of points on this model, so it's kind of hard to sort of show you individually on this chart. So I'm going to bring out some other smaller diagrams that might be a little bit easier for you to see. So these cards are from a company called earseeds.com. They make little kits that you can purchase here at the office. And each kit has a little card, instructions on how to find the different points, and little what we call ear seeds that I'll show you in a second that can be used and placed on these points. And they can be left in the ear for up to 3 days so that you can just stimulate and do your acupressure on those little points once you find them and place the little bead. Okay. 2 points that we use most commonly for stress and anxiety are called Shen Men and point 0. Shen Men is located in the depression of the ear, sort of in the upper third, okay, of that little cavern. So what you would do is take a little ear seed here, okay, and this is literally just a seed on the back of a little Band-Aid backing. We take these off and we place it in the section of the ear where that corresponds. It can stay on with the Band-Aid. It's not a needle. We don't need to worry about it falling off, about your dog eating it, about it, hanging out and somebody stepping on it by accident if it was a needle, okay? It's just a seed. When you're done, you take it off and you can throw it in the trash. But they're great for being able to put it in the location and just doing your acupressure with it, just squeezing it, pushing on it, okay? Stimulating that point, okay? So that's Shen Men. Second one most commonly used is point 0. This one is on the inside of the ear, in this little ridge, right sort of at the dead center. And there actually is usually a little bit of a depression there as well, okay? So that's Shen Men. That's another great spot. Another point we use a lot is called sympathetic. So it's literally for the sympathetic nervous system. It sort of slows down that fight or flight reaction that we often have. This one is hard to see on the model and on your ear individually because it's underneath this little flap or fold in the front, okay? But if you find that bottom ridge of that C, okay, and come up underneath, find what is a little tender spot and put your seed there. Oh, and actually that's what I should mention. Here in the clinic, this is what I use. It's a little probe with a little knob on the end. You could use a ballpoint pen. You could use, break off a little toothpick, something that might be small where you can get in and sort of just poke around at the ear. So when you're looking for those spots, you're going to poke around till you find a tender spot. That's where you're going to put your seed and leave that for a couple of days. Okay. So again, those are 3 spots that are used primarily. There's many more different spots in the ear that can be used. Again, you have the model. If you go back to that picture, freeze your frame, you should be able to see where all those different points are. Just another quick example, if you were to have back pain, again, head, neck, mid-back, low back. You're going to poke around in this area, find some points that might be tender, put a seed there and start poking. Okay? Or use a pen and poke. Use, a fingernail and poke. But that can be a spot that you can treat low back pain. Okay? Going back to stress and anxiety real quick, another spot that we use is the heart, okay, and the lung to help boost that immunity. Those 2 spots are in the deep depression within the ear. So down in the deep cavern, press around, find those tender spots, okay, and get in there and work them. I'm going to call Caitlin back in real quick, and I'm going to show you how I sort of do that on somebody to find some of those points. Okay, so we're bringing Caitlin in to do a quick little example. We've brought in some extra lighting here to sort of try to hopefully see the ear a little bit better, okay? So at home, you're going to take your little pen, toothpick, fingernail, whatever you have, and we're going to find just 2 points right now, Shen Men and point 0. So we're going to find that little C area in the ear. You got to turn to the light, huh? I'm going to find that little C area here. You're going to come to the inside, and we're going to start poking around. And when I find a tender spot, okay, you can either just do some acupressure with your pen, your finger, just squeeze that spot, all day long, really, as many times as you like, all right? For her, at the moment, I'm going to use a little bling. These are actually some little Swarovski crystals on the back of a little, we call a press ball. They're little tiny gold balls. So we're going to take one of these. See where that little depression was that I was using. And we're going to put it on Caitlin. And then that's a spot that she can reach up and just sort of squeeze or press or poke throughout the rest of the day. Okay. Second spot is called Shen Men. I'm sorry, point 0. Okay. So point 0, if you come into the ear, it's on this inner ridge here. Okay. So about halfway down, there should be a little depression in there. And that's point 0, okay? Oftentimes another one that's kind of tender. So I'm just going to take a second little one of my little beads here, my little crystals. Place it in there. And then she's got that she can use for the next couple of days. These can stay in for about 3 days or so, as long as there's no signs or symptoms of infection or they're not red or itchy or irritated. If they do get that way, she just takes them off, washes with soap and water, and lets it air dry. Okay. So anyway, that's a little bit about acupressure here at Island Acupuncture. Hopefully you learned a little something that you can use at home. I'm certainly available for phone calls at any time. You also can access my website, www.islandacupuncture.com. I can give you some information there, or also a link to my email so that you can send me an email directly, all of which is confidential. All right, so thank you so much, folks. Like I said, feel free to call me. I love what I do, and hopefully, some of it will be helpful to keep you a little less stressed while you're at home during these difficult times. Have a great day.
Thank you, Tammy. I miss seeing you, and I really appreciate you sharing this with us. Nantucket, to watch this episode or to learn more about Tammy and her work anytime, look for it in the Nantucket Pulse Wellness Series playlist on nctv18.org. You will notice at the end of this episode, just like last week, local island groups giving rounds of applause to healthcare workers on Nantucket and around the world. If your team is meeting on Zoom or Google Hangouts, please record yourselves saying who you are and give a shout out and a round of applause to our frontline heroes. And send them to us at info@nctv18.org. We are going to continue with our series aimed at keeping everyone connected and maintaining a healthy balance under the continued guidance of our local health professionals. This week, I'd like to leave you with a quote I came across that helps me. You can be the master of your life by putting your health, well-being, and happiness as a priority. I hope that you have found something in today's episode that can help you. That's all for now. I'm Natalie Simonero, your host of the wellness portion of Nantucket Pulse. I'm going to be back next week, and until then, please take good care of yourselves and each other.
We want to thank all the essential workers and medical professionals
and first responders and town employees and stop and shop workers and
the teachers who are working remotely, people who are all doing what they can to save us while we do what we can by staying inside.
We are so very appreciative, and we'd like to clap for you. Thank you for everything you're doing for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.